buenos Louise with Louise Make Hair, and back to do more coasters to go with a tray that I made yesterday. And this, in this color palette, Obsidian by Decoart, 24 karat gold and iridescent gold by Golden. This is a gray, shading gray by Golden, high flow shading gray. This is Quinacridone Nickel Gold. This is bronze, iridescent bronze by Golden, and this is Amsterdam's Pearl Pistachio. So the tray came out great. Maybe I'll flash it up on the screen here real quick. But yeah, I want to make a set of coasters to go with the tray and hopefully be able to sell everything as a set. That's the whole idea. So I've been on these tray kicks and coaster kicks to try to have sets to sell. And then also here is my Multi-Pro, which is going to be my base, my pillow for these guys. And I think that's about it. So as you know, my paint's about a 2 to 3 second trace. Pillow paint about 4 to 5 second trace. And then cell activator just needs to pour into the cup. I did a video on that, video 141, which was how I make my cell activator. And then 140 was how I make my pouring medium and how I mix my paints into my pouring medium and the consistencies I look for with that and my pillow paint. So look up 140 video and 141 if you want to see how I mix my paints, PM, and also my cell activator. Okay, so let me get you down. I'll pour out the pillow and we'll get started. Okay, back in a second. So I just mixed a new batch of black cell activator because I stupidly left my last batch sitting out. I was like, come on, really? Fortunately, I make small batches, so at least it's not a total hardship. So we'll see how the black works today. All right, so here is my Obsidian. Once again, I really like this color combination, and I have an idea for another tray, another color combination. Basically, kind of like what I did a little while ago with my earth tone color. I'm just going to swap out one color of this palette, and I think I'm going to take out the green and put in Bordeaux red and see how that changes the scheme of things. And I like to do that. I like to use similar palettes and then just switch one color out. Once you get something that's working, minimally change it so that you can really get some mileage out of your paints. So that was my homemade gray. Here's my Nickel Gold. And I think I mentioned this in the tray video of this color combination. I had to pour some of the green separately outside the lines of my compositional blowout before, because I needed the green to show up. So I'm going to do maybe a little bit of that today on these coasters and see how that works. Okay, here's my green. I'll put a bunch down, but it's not going to matter much. This green is always just kind of in the wings, kind of in the background. All right, let's get a little shot out there, maybe a shot over here. Just so it has a chance to show itself off a bit. Just a little. All right, now my black, which I just mixed, my white. Let me see if I have to make any adjustments here. That's my consistency of my white. There we go. That's better. Okay, lay down the white and the black, and then we go to town. Pop some of these bubbles first of all. It's really spread out. Okay. stick. It's really flowing nicely. Here we go. One of the things I want to emphasize here for the new people especially is that when I'm blowing out, I'm thinking in terms of skimming the paints over the pillow. So skimming the cell activator over the paint and then the paint over the pillow, kind of like a small wave coming into shore at the beach. Also notice my head is going back and forth as I'm blowing it out because that gives my petals a fuller shape. Okay. Yeah. Well, there's my green. It's going to all pour off over here. I should have known better. But I laid a lot of green down, so the green is probably just going to show up within the colors. So for the newer folks, all I'm doing here is pulling the paint over the edge, so when I spin, the paint already has a direction to flow. Tell you what, this has got promise already. You know, and I'm kind of stuck on these blooms right now. I'm exploring, trying to go with functional art, making trays, seeing if I can get them out there. But you know, I gotta get some in the backlog. I can't just have one or two. I gotta have a series. So that's what I've been doing. I know I've been stuck on blooms for a while. Okay, but I think it's, you know, I think it's helping me. I'm actually staying on something long enough to kind of start to get it. Now look at that. Look at where we're starting. That is really nice. So beforehand, before I do anything, I'm going to turn these white spots back into color. And all you do is you dip your toothpick in and pull up. And after you, when you dip the toothpick in and then you pull it up, as it's pulling up, it's doing this to the paint. It's pulling the paint up around it and it's closing up the white spot. That's basically what's happening. All right, let's give this thing a whirl. I didn't even have to blow in the middle. You know, I find that when your cell activator is fresh or fresher, it tends to have a better, faster reaction than when it's been sitting around a while. But I've used cell activator that's over a month old, and it's been fine. Oh, this is really nice. Okay, getting my slop bucket put together here. So for anybody new, what I do is I scoop up the spillage and then I strain the paint from here through a strainer, either a nylon or an actual strainer, say from Home Depot, and I reuse it. Now it's going to be a different color, it's going to be darker color, but it's perfectly usable. May need to add a little water, maybe a little GAC 800 to it. You just have to see what the consistency is like. But that's what I'm doing here. All right, let's go wild spinning. It looks pretty. I am a sucker for earth tones. But I'll tell you what, my little wild crazy lately with the colors has been kind of fun too. You know, somebody was asking me if I thought the American Floetrol was just as good as the Australian, and it's hard to say. I mean, well, that one didn't turn out so hot. I'm making a mess of this one. All right, let it go. Let's get this guy. that was better. Yeah, the American Floetrol is different. And what I see, based on my combination of recipe and everything else, which is not Sheleeart approved, it's just what's a good substitute, I noticed that the American Floetrol seems to give me more like rounder cells and less lacing. That's my observation. I mean, I'm still a fairly new painter, so I kind of haven't fully been able to assess things, but in my personal observation, that's what I would say. All right, I think I need to spin a little bit more because I think I have paint on here that needs to come off. I'm not centered. There we go. See how sticky this paint is? That's why when you're scraping your bottom, you got to make sure you pull it out and let it go under, because otherwise you're going to have a whiplash of paint, and sometimes it comes right across your piece, which really stinks, especially if you have something you're really looking forward to finishing, it's coming out good, and all of a sudden you make a mistake, and it's like, oh my God. Yeah. Oh, this one's looking really, really pretty. I don't know if I want to spin it anymore. I think it's pretty good. So this is where we are, folks. Nice. It's like what I was saying here about cleaning your sides and edges. Because the paint is very springy. You want to pull it out and then back. So if it's going to spring anywhere, it's going to spring underneath. You can always clean that up. And anyway, you're probably going to put a coaster on, what do you call it? You're going to put a cork underneath it. So here we go. Pull it out and then pull it back and let it spring underneath, so you don't make a mess of your edge. Of course, these gloves are horrible. They just don't fit me. So once again, pull out and then under. And you see that string that just came down? It went down out of harm's way. All right, so I'm going to put this guy to bed. And we'll go on to number 2.